Hi, I'm Regie. I'm a teacher, I'm a writer, I'm a mom, a grandma, friend, and also an anxious person these days. We're living through tough times, and I think a lot about equity during these times and how can we make things better for families, for kids, for ourselves. And I've always found poetry to be very soothing. I'm recording this at near the end of National Poetry Month, but poetry is good. I think it just soothes the nerves. It's not hard to do. Um, I write poetry myself, and what I want to show you is how I do that in the classroom with kids, and how you can do this at home. And the audience for this video is parents and teachers. I'd say mostly elementary grades, but actually the process I think is the same for all grades. Um, it's easy, it's efficient, it's equitable, and enjoyable. And we certainly need more joy these days, right? So I want to show you, because I've written a lot of books as an educator, but these books, kids' poems, and there are four in the series from kindergarten through upper elementary grades, have actually been my best-selling books. And I think it's because I really spelled out exactly how to do poetry writing so that everybody is successful, teachers and parents. And I've been thinking about how do we make life more equitable for kids that are very much affected by the digital divide. They don't have a computer, they don't have a hotspot. And it's not that hard to get a notebook or paper and pencil and to write a poem. So that's what I want to talk about. And then I've been thinking, what's an appropriate topic? I'm writing this poem for myself to remember um, what I was thinking about, what I was noticing during these very, I would say, times of trauma for a lot of people. Um, and here's what I was thinking about. If I'm going to write a poem for you, and I don't really know you, I don't want to write anything that is going to make you anxious or that's going to make you think of really tough issues. And so deliberately picking something that is more neutral and what I call choice within structure. And I would tell my students or my kids at home, let's write together or let's write a poem about what you've noticed since you've been home from school. What are the things that you're noticing that you didn't notice before? And then through my demonstration, which I'm going to show you right now, I will be demonstrating the kinds of things that I'm noticing. I'm not going to be talking about my anxiety because that's not going to be helpful. But the things that I'm noticing now are different um, before the pandemic. What I noticed then and what I'm noticing now. I'm noticing some of the things that I'm noticing are the kindness of people. I'm noticing tulips. Like we have some tulips that just came up in our backyard. They've been there forever. And I noticed that they open and close. And I'm even noticing the hours that that happens. They don't fully open until late morning and they start closing up about 4 in the afternoon and they look different. And I'm like, how does that happen? That indoor clock. I'm noticing I saw my first hummingbird of the season this morning at breakfast. And I'm like, wow, what a spirit lifter. And I could write about how hummingbirds have changed my husband and my life. They're right outside our kitchen door, and we make sure they're well fed with the kinds of flowers that we plant there. I'm noticing how being outside helps quite a lot, especially if it's a sunny day. I'm noticing how gardening calms me down. I'm noticing that, and this one may surprise you, that I'm not able to read a whole book. I have reading magazines and I'm reading recipe books, I'm reading educational journals. I have about 6 books that I'm ready to read, and I usually read about a book a week, but I have not read a complete book in over a month. I'm not able to concentrate on a story for that long. But what I want to write about today, and as I would talk about all the things that I could write about, but the one that I decided to write about ahead of time is dandelions. And I always tell the story first and recommend you do this as you're modeling for your own kids or if you're modeling for teachers. telling the story first because honestly, I'm being totally authentic with you. I have not practiced this. I have not written out what I'm going to say or how I don't know how the poem is going to turn out. But by telling the story, I can figure out how the poem is going to turn out. Um, so let me start by telling you, and also because I've picked dandelions, but I've given lots of other topics that I've talked about. It's what I call choice within structure. It's just not anything goes, but kids think about what have you noticed that you didn't notice before? So I want to tell you the story about what happened to me with dandelions. And the only preparation that I have is I have a Post-it note. And this is all I would do in the classroom or at home in terms of the things that I want to be sure to talk about in my poem. And then I'm going to tell you the story about that. And because I don't want to assume that everybody knows what a dandelion is, if we have students that are refugees, they might not know. Then I want to show you, I want to be sure that they know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to show them a picture of that. Okay, so let me tell you what happened with these dandelions. This is right across the street from my house is a field. And I noticed all those dandelions, and I don't know what made me think about dandelion salad, but I did. That's what I was thinking about. It's kind of weird, but just starting to notice the natural world, what's around me. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to try a dandelion salad. I had heard that they were nutritious. I didn't know if that was true. I have since looked it up, and they're considered superfood, dandelion greens. And so I couldn't pull the dandelions. They were just really, really hard to pull out. And so I went back and I got a shovel and I dug those little things out. I dug out a huge, huge clump of them. And so depending on where you live, I'm in Seattle, and you see those puffballs, those white, uh, when you see that is really too late to pick them. But I picked them and brought them home and washed them. Here's what they look like. Really quite lovely, a little bit like arugula. Washed them 3 or 4 times, put them in a spinner. And then I made a wonderful, oops, I don't know what I did. Sorry about that. I messed up here. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not becoming more tech savvy, but I kind of messed up there. But anyway, let's continue. So what the dandelions did for me during this time was made me just notice everything around me that I could use that I wasn't thinking about using. I'm using tea bags more than once. I'm not throwing out even little bits of food. I'm just being very careful and I think more responsible about living in the world during this difficult time. Um, but the dandelions have had a big impact on me because I didn't really notice them before. And now I'm not only noticing them, but dandelion salad has become my favorite salad. That picture that I showed you, a little bit, I put bacon bits in it and some pieces of onion and a little bit of radicchio, which is kind of a reddish looking, a little bit bitter tasting, just to make it look pretty. Um, and so we've had dandelion salad now, my husband Frank and I, about, oh, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. And it's not bitter, it's delicious. And it has all these vitamins and antioxidants in it. And uh, dandelions have helped me look at the world more closely, which I think is really important in times like this. Um, so I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to, in the next video short, show you how I would write this poem about dandelions. Okay, thanks for sticking with me.